Good evening, and thank you for being here tonight to take part in this important conversation about our schools and our community. This election, as you know, is especially significant because we are laying the foundation for a brand new school district. The board members elected this fall will help set the vision, priorities, and direction for the future of the Aspen Peaks area. Each candidate will begin with up to 3 minutes for an opening introduction to get to know them and their qualifications and what they hope for the future of the district. Following that, candidates will respond to submitted questions with a limit of 2 minutes per response. To keep things fair, we will alternate which candidate answers first on each question. At the end of the evening, each candidate will have up to 90 seconds to share a closing statement. Our timer, seated on the front row, will help candidates stay on track. A yellow card will be raised when 30 seconds remain, and a red card will be raised when the time has expired. To foster constructive dialogue, we've encouraged candidates to focus on policy ideas and priorities rather than personal attacks or labeling others. We also ask the audience to remain attentive and refrain from cheering, clapping, or other interruptions during the question and answer portion. At the conclusion of the evening, we invite you to join us in a round of applause for the candidates. Thank you for helping us create a thoughtful and respectful discussion. And with that, we will begin. So we will go ahead and start with you, Jeanne-Marie, yes. And then I think what we'll do, to be fair, is then for the closing remarks, then we'll start with Tyler and with you. Does that sound fair?
Okay, that's great.
Okay, my name is Jeanne-Marie Burrows, and I'm running for seat 6, both of us are. I moved to Lehigh with my husband 18 years ago. And it was just a few months before our first child was born. And we have created an incredible life here in Lehigh, and we love it. I met my husband, and I fell in love with him because of how kind he is. And I knew that I could create a life of service and that he would never try to stop me in anything, that he would always be supportive. And I really do appreciate him. He's my biggest fan. And we have 4 children. Our oldest is a senior, and our youngest is a 5th grader. We love them. They are our world. So I have loved education my whole life. It's easy because my grandparents were educators. My parents were both teachers. My 2 older sisters have been teachers and administrators. And the one thing that I really did not want to do was to go into education when I went to college, because I wanted to be myself. So I got a bachelor's degree in psychology and then a master's degree in special education. I followed exactly their lead, and I don't regret it. So I've been a behavior consultant. I work in special ed classrooms, but when I became a mom, I became a mom. The last few years, I have worked as a behavior aide and a substitute teacher at the local elementary school. Right now, tomorrow is my last day as a long-term sub. I've taught PE this whole first term, and it's been enjoyable, like amazing. I love seeing all those kids. 200 kids every day has been incredible. I love community involvement. When my oldest went to school, it was a rough start, but getting involved helped me feel like I could be a part of everything, that I could make a difference. So for the last 12 years, I've been on every school community council I could be on, every PTA I could do. I just finished this past summer being the Lehigh Council president for the last 2 years. And if I have a spare minute, I find out what concert's happening, what game is played on the football field or in the gym. I just love supporting. I love supporting children, and I love being in the schools and meeting teachers. I've said that my hobby is being involved in schools, but it really has become my way of life. And I would like to share that with more people. I would love to share my love of education and my willingness to be a part of everything. Thank you.
See the red.
Thanks, Jeanne-Marie. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to be with you tonight. I'm grateful for those that are here, and as well as those that are tuning in to the recording. There's so much going on in our lives right now, and every little opportunity to engage, I think, is valuable. To participate in this process that not everybody across the world enjoys. So, my name is Tyler Bahr. My wife, Missy, and I have lived in Lehigh for the last 5 years. Both Alpine School District products. Graduated from Mountain View High School back in the day. We have 5 awesome kids, ranging in ages from college senior to 4th grader at the same school that Jeanne-Marie teaches at. My parents are both retired educators. They retired as teachers here from the Alpine School District. Dad taught at UVU, and BYU in elementary education as well. And they helped me to see just how amazing and heroic the work is the teachers and school staff are doing every single day. I don't think there's a level of government that's as impactful anywhere as the school board. My priorities are reducing class sizes and focusing resources in the classroom, protecting teachers' compensation, retirement, and opportunities for collaboration and training, and enhancing our financial sustainability and taking advantage of opportunities to collaborate with partners such as other cities, cities and now other school districts especially. My professional background is in finance. Worked for a smaller credit union, then a regional bank for a number of years. And then for the last 12 years, I worked in municipal or local government. Currently the Chief Financial Officer for the Salt Lake City Public Library. No, I do not drive every single day up there. That's kind of crazy, but it's helped me understand the flow of taxes, in particular property taxes, and how to make those dollars stretch just as far as we possibly can. I'm committed to the benefiting our children, of course, their families, and our community, and appreciate the opportunity to be with you tonight.
Thank you both. We'll have you start, since you have the microphone in your hand. And we'll just rotate every question who starts, if that's okay. So our first question is going to be on hiring the superintendent. One of the first and perhaps primary functions of the new board will be selecting a superintendent and a business administrator for the new district. What are 3 attributes or qualifications that you feel should guide the new school board in making this decision?
It's a very unique opportunity that we have to set up this new school in the school district. In looking at both the the superintendent, the business administrator. Business administrator, by the way, is the person that is primarily responsible for the finances. So I think that we need someone who is willing to get on the ground and understands Utah education. That doesn't mean that they necessarily have to work in the Alpine School District, but they have an understanding of how the structures and systems work here. We need someone who is forward thinking and is not just willing but insistent on trying new things and being creative. And finally, we need a superintendent who's a champion of his people, her people. Because these teachers need support. They're the ones on the ground doing the work with our children, impacting their lives in so many ways. So I think that's very important that they have a cheerleader, one that's looking out for them. I think that it's important that between those 2 roles, not exclusive to them, between those two roles, that there is an ability and willingness and a respect for differing opinion. There is a lot that needs to be decided. There's a lot of good things that I hope that we can carry forward for the Alpine School District. But we absolutely do not need a room full of yes people or groupthink. We need folks that are going to be independent.
I think that this opportunity is amazing for all of us. We get to build from the ground up. And so choosing the best superintendent and business administrator is key. It's the very first thing we should be doing. And I'm grateful that the state has changed the law so that we can get going at the end of November and not have to wait until January, because this is so important for us to choose the right people. My first quality for both of them is integrity. I need proven history that shows that they stand behind their word. They don't just talk the talk, but they walk the walk. They have to be good people. My second priority is communication. We can't just have good people that aren't willing to come out and be a part of the community. And I'm talking about the community of parents and also the community of teachers. Our teachers need to feel supported. They need to feel that they can approach the superintendent and ask anything that they want to ask or give suggestions. They need to be able to feel heard. And my last thing that I think is very important is that they have the education. Both need different education, but I would love a superintendent that's been in schools, not just someone who has leadership experience, but someone who has been a teacher, who has been an administrator, so that they understand every aspect. And as a business administrator, they need that knowledge also of government financing. And I think that those three are the key points that I am looking for ultimately. Someone with integrity, someone who can communicate well with our communities and teachers, and also have the background that they need.
Thank you. Thank you both. We're going to segue from your priorities for hiring a superintendent into your board priorities. What do you believe is the number one priority for the area you represent? How would you go about advocating for this and perhaps other priorities you've identified?
Okay, so we live here in Lehigh, lots of growth. My elementary school that both of our kids have gone to is almost at 1,200 students. That should have been addressed already at this point. If you talk to the district, they say, oh, it's slowing down, or you're gonna lose students. But at 1,000 students, we should have been worried about this. And so one of my biggest priorities is making sure that we have smaller school sizes. In our area, in our cluster that leads to Lehigh High School, we have 6 elementary schools. 2 have close to 1,200 students. We have one that's in the 400s, others in 500, one at 1,000, just barely. We need to even things out. We need to build a new elementary school and be able to adjust the boundaries so every school can feel like they can educate their students without having to bring in more trailers, or let's make it all even. Let's make it so that if we make decisions like changing up some of our advanced learning so that it's in the schools instead of at a certain school, that we have the space and we have the ability to be able to help all of our students the same way.
I think we're very similar here. Because England is a very safe community.
Yes.
Class size is absolutely a priority. And reducing those. And that's a function of not just, but primarily personnel, having teachers, right? Because if you're reducing the number of students in each classroom with each teacher. We're going to need more teachers. But it's also a function of space, right? Jeanne-Marie went to the challenge with having ring intruders. There's a lot of variability that teachers and particularly administrators deal with because you don't know what the enrollment is finally going to be until well into the school year, right? So I appreciate the work that they do there, but we need to look at where our resources are right now. And I certainly don't advocate for wholesale elimination of any non-teaching positions. That's really not the case. But particularly if an administrator or someone's proposing adding a new position that is not a teaching position, I want to see how that brings value to the classroom. I want to put that up against adding one more teacher to the pool that would reduce class sizes. Our kids need that. They're going to benefit mentally and emotionally, and we're going to help a greater population in each classroom, not just survive but thrive in their education pursuit.
All right, thank you both. Our next question is about community engagement. One of the concerns expressed by voters who supported dividing up Alpine was the need for more local parent and community engagement. How will you work to gain high levels of support for public education while addressing the needs of the stakeholders in the community?
One of the things that I've enjoyed the most, I've certainly enjoyed my time here with you today, but I really enjoyed opening the doors and talking to folks. And I hope that in some way, shape, or form does not stop. I've enjoyed talking to people and understanding their perspective. Hearing a lot of aspects of our life that have nothing to do with education, but in the end it does, because it's what we're talking about, educating a community and a whole people. I'm sorry, can you refresh on the real question?
Absolutely. One of the concerns expressed by voters who supported dividing Alpine was the need for more local and parent and community engagement. How will you work to gain high levels of support for public education while addressing the needs of stakeholders in the community?
Great, thank you. So absolutely necessary that we have the community buy-in. I have a full-time job during the day with an employer that is very understanding and flexible with my time. I'm able to take at least one day off during the week. We fully expect those to be school days, school board days. Of course, there will be aspects of every day, but this is not Tyler's agenda by any means. If I'm fortunate to serve on the school board, my role is to aggregate as best I can the needs, the hopes, and the ideas of our community, the folks that I represent, and I'm committed to doing what it takes. It might be a little less sleep, but committing to do what it takes to engage with folks, to hear, to listen, and to move forward with strategies that represent those needs and interests.
As I mentioned in my introduction, I love community involvement. It is a key component to this campaign for me. I was one of those voters that wanted to improve community involvement. I felt like a smaller district with smaller seat areas meant that school board members could be in those schools. I know that in the past there were school board members that complained about having 15 schools, and that person can't be at 15 schools all the time. Our seat has 3 elementary schools, and then a couple of the specialty schools. That means I can be in every school every week. That means that I can be there meeting parents, becoming friends with parents. I completely know that I would be there. I would be at the school carnivals. I would be at the school community council meetings. I would be invested, and I have the ability with such a small group that I can get to know everyone that I can. One of the biggest problems with having the larger district is so many people had no idea what was going on. We asked them to vote for a bond. Most people did not understand the bond. If we would have communicated with them better, I think that it could have passed. A lot of these things could have been solved if we had more community involvement with our board members. So I commit to being at the schools every week. This week alone, I actually have been at all 3 elementary schools for meetings already this week. And I'm going to be there, and I'm going to answer questions, and I'm not going to talk really fast. I'm going to talk clearly, and I'm not going to use a million acronyms. I'm going to explain what everything means. And I really truly believe that if everyone understands how education works, they'll be more supportive.
Thank you. Well, Mission to Bond brings us to a nice segue to our next question, which is about taxes. ASD has approved multiple property tax increases over the past several years. If elected, how would you approach decisions on property tax increases for the new district? And under what circumstances, if any, would you support them?
I will almost always support a tax increase when it comes to public education. Of course, I won't support one that if we're trying to build something that's ridiculous. But as long as we have a good plan in place with good proof saying, hey, we need to build more schools because we have schools at 1,200 students. Or if we need to create new school districts, so we need some money for that. This most current tax increase, I completely support it because we need that money. And besides that, we have our state legislators giving us demands every year. Hey, you need to improve on this, or you need to improve on that. But we're not going to fund it. We need money. We all know that Utah is one of the lowest states for money per student. So we will always need money. And that is why we will almost always support an increase. For our communities, though, as I alluded earlier, we need to explain to our communities why we need these increases. We can't just say, hey, we need more money. And even if we say, hey, we need more money to build a new school, they're not always going to be happy with that. But if we can sit down and say, hey, let me show you how this works. Let me show you all the things that we need to fund, and let me show you how much money we have. See, that doesn't equal out. I think that as we communicate to our neighbors, to our communities, to our parents, if they truly understand how education works and how it's funded, that they will be more likely to support these increases.
Property taxes are a challenge in some ways. There's so many different entities on your property tax bill. Right? The school district is, of course, typically the largest portion of your tax bill. But there's other entities on there as well: the city, the county, the ski looking, a number of entities on there. So we have to be mindful of the combined burden, and certainly work with our partners to make sure that we're strategic about that. I am open to tax increases, but certainly a couple of things we need to first, we need to assess what we have currently, where we're using that, where we could make reprioritizations, right? With the new school district, there are going to be shifting needs in terms of personnel, right? And we need to look at possibly reallocating some of those into the classrooms. We can reduce class sizes without dumping the full burden on a tax increase. Two, I think very similar to what Jeanne-Marie alluded to, We need to be much more digestively transparent. Information and gobs of information for information's sake isn't doing anybody any good. We need to simplify a lot of the communication with regard to finances. Make sure that we are very clear where that's going. In the end, I think that tax increases are generally needed because inflation never sleeps. But I don't want to see that balloon in terms of need and then explode every 4 years. So, thank you.
Thank you both. This next question will be about working with other school districts. Over a decade ago, there was another district split. And it was very complex, as you are experiencing. One of the points of debate and sometimes contention was around resources. During the transition phase over the next year and a half, what steps will you take to build productive negotiations with the other school districts to equitably share resources and services?
Great question. A lot of what will determine those allocations has been established in some ways, not in details, but a lot in terms of legislation is already up to set. I have already begun dialoguing with candidates in other school districts and those sitting in seats that aren't up for election. But I think those are very important relationships. I don't think it needs to be a zero-sum solution. It's not a matter of one district gets and the other 2 districts don't. There's going to be lots of room for give and take. And these are people that are part of our community. The fact that somebody lives in Pleasant Grove in Orem or Saratoga Springs, Eagle Mountain, I still care about my kids. Economically, they have an impact upon my community. If they don't have an opportunity to thrive, I'm close enough that if they turn to illicit behavior, I might be the target there, right? So I think we have an interest to take care of one another, and I think that relationships, starting those right now and continuing those, will help us come to a solution that works best for everyone.
I want to start out by giving appreciation where it's due that our state legislature did a great job rebounding from that bad experience, learning from it, growing from it, and then taking actions to try to help prevent that to happen again. I applaud those legislators that jumped into that and also came and they asked administrators, they asked teachers to help write the guidelines for splitting this district. So I want to start out by saying that appreciation to them. I know they did a lot of work to try to make it so that now it's in our state code of how to be able to split up those resources more successfully. I feel bad for our neighbors up north that they had to be the guinea pigs for this, but I am grateful that we did learn from their mistakes and the things that happened up there. So I know that Alpine School District has already started this, that they've already tried to split up the resources as evenly as possible. And I love our administrators at Alpine School District. I trust them. The integrity that I talked about for a superintendent, I believe is with a lot of our leaders already, and they truly do love our students. As I've worked with them, I've seen that love that they have for them. So I'm excited to be able to jump right in and to be able to continue to make this a peaceful experience where we think about every student in Alpine School District, not just in Aspen Peaks. And I already was friends with a few of the school board candidates in other districts, and I've continued to try to become friends with them so that I could easily work with them when it comes down to starting this process.
Thank you both. This next question is going to be about constituent concerns. I would imagine that the two of you have heard constituent concerns about what might be happening in schools or classrooms as you have been on the campaign trail. Whether it is AI, sensitive materials, political perspectives of teachers, or other hot topics, how, as one member of the board, would you go about addressing these expressed concerns?
That's a great question. The best way I know how to do anything is to dive deep into things. If I have a concern, I would love to go to these schools and see actually what's happening. I love being in the schools. I love talking to teachers. I love being able to just be there and communicate with people. And that is, there's going to be lots of concerns. The world is always changing. And concerns with AI, like, oh, okay, now we have this that we have to worry about. But I trust our teachers. I trust our administrators. And there will be problems. So that is why I would love to just go be a part of that school. Go observe, go be there and let the school know, hey, I'm not trying to judge you. I just want to get a feel for your community. I just want to be here and to observe. And if there are concerns, I feel like I would be able to feel if those concerns are valid or not. And if they are, let's take the proper action and help our schools be the best they can be.
Certainly important to listen and to hear the concerns that folks have heard. I don't know a single parent who hasn't at one point in their each child's education had feedback or concern about one particular thing or another. It's just a byproduct of being social, being in a community. So listening is a priority for me, withholding judgment until there's an opportunity to vet and understand. I think it's also important to, as a school board member, to be well versed in the policies and procedures, to be able to articulate different circumstances that might be in place, and not just listen, but to provide another perspective that might be great. I think it's important to trust and demonstrate trust in our teachers and administrators, and the service and the product that we're asking for in terms of educating our children. Nothing is more important. But the reality is, these are humans that are doing their very best. I think the vast majority just are amazing. And I want to be supportive of what you're doing. So certainly listen, take an opportunity to reflect, understand the policy with all judgment. But then, of course, letting my colleagues know, communicating what concerns are to make a difference.
Thank you. This next question is about supporting teachers and leaders. Parents are their child's first teacher. However, at school, effective teachers are the main variable to student success, and school leaders are a close second. What is the board's role in recruitment and retention of effective classroom teachers and school leaders? What strategies do you have in mind for retaining and supporting teachers and leaders in your new district?
Great question. One of my priorities is protecting teachers' compensation, including retirement, and their opportunities for growth and training and collaboration with one another. That becomes even more important as what was the largest school district in the state, split into three. I hope that does not remove opportunities for growth and collaboration with teachers. Compensation, my overall compensation philosophy, whatever industry I've worked in, and certainly in education, I don't want to balance the budget on the backs of those who are doing the work. I don't want to nickel and dime. I want to pay a fair wage. I want to pay a little better than what somebody can get at the district next door or in a comparable industry there. So that they're not having to constantly wonder, oh wait, am I giving up something better outside? Go ahead and look and recognize that what you have here reflects the value and the appreciation that we have, the work that you're doing. So certainly compensation. There's other aspects that go into that. Creating a culture, an environment where people feel supported, that we don't overreact to human mistakes. I think is the kind of environment that will have people begging to be a part of Aspen Peak School District.
I think we're starting the district in a really good place. I know so many teachers that actually are trying to get into Aspen Peaks. They want to work for us. We are in an ideal location, and we're in a good place. We have amazing schools here. And I think that helps us start the district off in a really good place. We definitely need to make sure that we're able to pay our teachers and administrators a good rate. We'll definitely have to look at the going rates and making sure that they feel comfortable and that they're supported that way. But as I've gone around and I've talked to many teachers in lots of different schools at lots of different levels, one of the main things they just say over and over again is, can we please keep learning? Can you please not take away our opportunities to become better teachers? I've heard about their collaboration times where teachers at the secondary level, they're able to get together on their early out Wednesdays, and they, from 6 or 7 different schools, they come together and they plan and they learn from each other to be better teachers. And I love that idea. It shows not only that they're eager to learn from each other, but that they want to help each other out. And I love that feeling of being together. Elementary has it a different way, but I want to make sure that they feel like they can continue to learn through collaboration time, also professional development. But I want them to know that they're going to be a part of Aspen Peaks, and they're going to continue to be great teachers and learn how to be great teachers.
Thank you. The next question is about mental health. Some feel that mental health is an issue for our students and adults who serve them. Do you agree or not? If so, what steps would you take to support the mental and emotional health of students and staff? And if you would not take any steps, why?
Okay, I definitely agree that our mental health affects the way that we educate teachers and our students. In the year 2020, when everything stopped and we went online and then we came back and everyone was confused what was going to happen, Aspen School District actually gave grants to every school to have extra help for mental health. And that is how I started working at my local elementary school. Is like, oh, it's only for 40 hours. Okay, I can do that. And I loved working with our social worker, working with the students that seem to have a lot of struggles getting back into school after that long break. And I saw a difference. One of the first steps that I would love to change and to make sure that we can do is have more availability in our schools. Our elementary school is 1,200, so every day there's either a social worker or the school counselor or someone there that can help our students. But I know these smaller elementaries, they have to split their school counselors. They have to have them only part-time. And we need to be able to have someone there all the time. Students aren't gonna have bad days just on Mondays and Wednesdays. They're gonna have hard days all the time. And we need to find the funds, make it available for our students and our teachers to be able to get the help they need every day of the week.
I agree and disagree. I agree absolutely. Mental health is a big concern, and a great part of these last things here. One of my least favorite parts of campaigning is social media. Yeah, it's like dragging myself out there, and I'm reminded over and over again, especially when I look at. I think our races have been pretty awesome. But I look at other races out there and think, oh, it's demoralizing. And that's the kind of stuff that weighs on our mental health. I'm going to go another direction, and I think the absolute most effective way to benefit mental health is to reduce class sizes. Less of a number burden for those in the classroom. But imagine there if instead of 30 plus students in some classrooms, we were about 2/3 of that, closer to 20, right? The students, there's a certain segment of students at the top, they're always going to be at the top. They're going to get it. Reducing that class size is going to allow those teachers to spend more time with those students who are struggling at the bottom, and let's not forget that big middle. Those are kids who are going to test okay or well, but are they feeling like they're confident? Are they feeling like I can do hard things? I think that the opportunity to build them mentally and emotionally, and of course academically, is centered on reducing class size.
Thank you. And I have not taken any personal liberties in this debate, but I am going to take a personal liberty to say thank you for not running a demoralizing campaign. Both of you. We sense that, I think, here in the room, and we're grateful that you are discussing the policies and sticking to that rather than other types of behaviors as you describe as demoralizing. And while I'm taking a personal liberty, I guess I'll just continue on. I'll try not to again after this, but when I was campaigning for my office, I would make cold calls just to random voters. And I thought that people would be talking to me about all the hot button issues, ideological issues, and that was not the case. The biggest thing that people said to me is, how are you going to keep my child safe in school? How are you going to keep, what if there's an intruder? What if there's bullying? What if there's these things? So this next question centers on school safety. The legislature has provided additional funding for school safety, although it is likely not enough for the list of priorities and needs. What would you prioritize in terms of working to ensure families and students feel safe sending students to school?
Awesome. We have a police officer here. I think that's to control Jeanne-Marie, right? The partnerships with other entities is absolutely critical, right? We live in Lehigh here, and our tax dollars support multiple entities, not just the school district. I'm very grateful for the awesome people who serve in the police force. And I'm very impressed after there was an incident, time flies, I think it was last school year here at Lehigh, where there was a weapon that was spotted in a vehicle. And after somebody went back to check on it, they were concerned it was gone. I stopped by the police station that afternoon. I can't remember how many hours passed. It wasn't a lot. And an officer came out to speak with me. It wasn't a sergeant. Wasn't certainly wasn't the police chief, although, that'd be cool. I was thrilled with his description of how things went about. My concern was identifying the way that this occurred and what was going to happen if this child, this person, was a continued threat. It was great. I have a lot of confidence in those men and women that put on the badge and risk their lives every day. And I want to continue and enhance the partnerships there, different budgets and whatnot. But at the end of the day, we're in the same community. We all want to keep these kids safe.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to you too. I actually spoke with him out in the hallway because he is our officer at our elementary school. He's been coming for the last 3 years. All my kids, when they see him, are super excited to see him. They know that he is there to help them. He doesn't just keep us safe, but he teaches them important information also. And so definitely have to give a shout out to you. And I talked about with the taxes about certain legislative things that we have to do that they put into place. And this last year, they put into place that we need to have, I think it's 3 people in our school that carry a weapon in case something happens. And as much as I appreciate that they're looking into these things and helping, they didn't fund it very well. So we definitely have to, first of all, we have to fund for things that are mandated for us, but safety will always be important. I wish that we could live our carefree days when probably most of us grew up and our schools were probably open, like my school was open on Saturdays sometimes, and we just run through, but we live in a world that we have to be careful. And we can never put too much attention on the safety and trying to keep our kids safe. And so it definitely would be a priority to be able to do the things that we need to keep them safe. Like I said, first of all, the mandated stuff first, and then find ways that are particular for our area that we feel need.
All right, thank you. This next question that they gave us is fraught with educational acronyms. So I am going to define these on the fly. So, as a new school district, the board will need, this is about programs, just as a heads up for our candidates. As a new school district, the board will need to decide which programs will be prioritized for funding and staffing, including dual language immersion, gifted and talented, support for multi-language learners, college and technical education, career and technical education. It's what happens when I decode on the fly. Special education, etc. What criteria would you use to decide which programs are most valuable for students and communities, and how will you balance student demand, equal access, and budget constraints in making those choices?
Okay, I love this subject, and I loved, as you said them, I wrote the acronyms, but I love even more that you told us what they were. I feel like our last debate was full of lots of acronyms thrown at us, and I would be like, okay, I need to actually tell you what these mean. I look at this list, and it's powerful. It's full of great, really important things. And I want to give all to the students, of course, but there is a priority that has to be made. I would first look at what funding they already receive. Some of these are already funded, but probably not as well as they should be. The second thing I would do is to see the impact, how many people it really affects, how many students does it affect in our area. And then I'd also like to be creative to find out, hey, can we do this a different way that would save us some money so that we can grow, so that we can make it accessible to everyone. Our area, did not have a dual language immersion program until this year. Our students, if they wanted to learn another language in elementary school, they had to travel to another city. I love that they made it a priority to make sure every cluster had one of those. I love that our secondary students get to have different experiences with the CT, and that they are able to experience lots of things and learn lots of things in school, whether it's doing nails or learning about cars. But I love that they have that program with MTech. They're able to partner with people, and so it's able to spread more to more students. Okay, I have a lot more to talk about, but it's time to stop.
Lots of priorities, more priorities and hopes than funding, right? Always. I think that a few important considerations here are one, demand among families and students is important. Programs that give students experience, even beyond the classroom, to try out new things. But as I look down that list, partial list of what you read on, my mind goes to those that often are at a disadvantage, right? And not to exclude any group by any means, but special ed has a special place in my heart. I know it does for someone with a master's degree in special education. And folks that come from backgrounds that either they are learning English or they come from a family that's learning English. I want those folks to have opportunities, and I think that the opportunities will benefit us all in terms of economic contribution, in terms of community being more together, in terms of the experiences that our children will have as they engage with people from different backgrounds and different abilities, right? So I think there's a need to be equitable there and provide opportunities that lead children to the next step, generally economically in the job or whatnot. Maybe that's college, maybe that's trade experience in the CTE education that they're getting. But I want that to lead to something there and have the direction for them down the road.
Thank you. We are running out of time. If you do not have time for the questions about cell phones and school closures and boundary adjustments, both are a big deal right now. So at the meet and greet, ask our candidates their opinions about these things. We're going to take only 1 minute to answer this last question before we do closing remarks. So Trevor, sorry, we need to reset that timer. This question is about the future. Project 10 years into the future. What will the new school district have accomplished and be known for?
10 years in the future, we are going to be a place that people are inviting to get their kids into. They're going to want to build houses here. They're going to want to move here because of the quality of education that their kids are receiving. It'll be a place where teachers are awesome and the administrators are eager to come in, to stay, don't want to leave. I want it to be a source of community, a place where people can come together and learn to disagree, but do so in a way that we can find a path forward and have hard conversations. And I think that the school is a hub for that type of healthy engagement.
I envision in 10 years being a district of opportunities. We are in a sweet spot right here. We have some growth still happening, but we're almost filled in. And I'm really excited about it. We will need to build additional schools for a little bit longer, but in 10 years, I envision that we will have our growth. and we will know our students, and we can grow these different programs that we talked about. We'll be able to give opportunities to our students that other districts around do not have the finances for, that we'll be able to allow our students to explore and become who they truly should learn, who they should be during this education time. And our teachers will feel like they are heard and can collaborate with their administrators and help develop this district into an incredible place to be at.
Thank you. We're going to start with Tyler now since Jeanne-Marie started in the beginning. And we'd like you both to take 90 seconds to make a closing statement addressing anything you didn't get to say or something you want to emphasize. This is your closing statement.
Hope it's okay to stand.
Absolutely.
We're reading through.
Sit.
Thank you so much for being here, for the commitment that you demonstrated to our kids, our future, and our community. I am thrilled to be sitting next to and running with, not against, a wonderful person here. Gives me a lot of confidence in the future of our community. As I reflect on why this opportunity is important to me, I'm not really looking for an elected office, but this is just so important that we get this right. The new school district, right? And as you look at not just this seat, but across this entire new school district, there's 7 seats that will be elected, right? Usually there's only about half, but we're going to be sitting in an entire new board. As you look at the range of experience across all those candidates, my experience is unique. My background in finance, particularly public finance, will be instrumental, particularly at this time, in helping to support the work that the superintendent and business administrator do. But we've got to get this right. If we don't get the finance structure right, the strategy and the board, it will take us years or decades to do that. So I appreciate you being here and look forward to engaging more.
I get asked all the time, so why are you running for school board? And it's funny, I did not say, hey, I'm gonna run for school board. This is my dream. I'm running for school board because I have a lot of friends that come and ask me questions and say, wait, what does this mean? Hey, what are they talking about? Oh, how should I vote? Oh, what do you think about this subject? And I would explain it, and then they would say, oh, why aren't you running for school board? And after a few times, or a dozen times of being asked that question, I sat down quietly and I thought, why am I not running for school board? I love this. I love talking to people. I love explaining things. I love learning something that I don't know. That I hear something at a school board meeting or a decision made for schools and think, okay, why are they doing this? And learning for it, learning about it, and then being able to tell other people about it. This has become my passion, and I hope that you can feel it, that I love public education. I love students. I love teachers. I want to share that love, and I want to be contagious. I want people to feel that love for them also. And I would love to bring all of this into the new school district to help make it the best.
All right. Well, thank you both. And thank you all for attending tonight. And thank you to those of you watching at home. These folks have been waiting all night to give this round of applause. Thank you for being willing to engage in this public service and share your thoughts tonight. And with that, we'll call it an end.
Thank
Thank you.